Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We'll give everybody a few minutes here to join. We're having some folks coming in now, so we will get started in about 2 minutes. One more minute. Having a few stragglers. All right, well, let's get started. Again, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. We have folks again joining globally, so welcome everybody. My name is Jordan Meissner. I am your MC again today for our What the Muck SchlixX webinar. After an overwhelming interest in our last session, we're back to take a deeper dive into SchlixX Plus and how it tackles muck and nutrients and the never-ending battle against eutrophication. So we are back mainly so quickly because 60% of you or more have asked for that on our feedback in our last webinar. So we're going to take some time to break down the science and look at some real-world applications of how to reclaim your lake and pond. Stick around. 100 of our lucky attendees will score an exclusive one-time only What the Muck t-shirt. So I hope you all are ready for that. It looks like we have, again, another global audience, so we'll do our best to make this as relevant as possible for each and every one of you. Of course, we'd be happy to talk specific scenarios and unique situations that you may individually be having on a one-off conversation. Really quick, we'll look at some housekeeping items. One, you're muted. It's not personal. We just have to keep it a little bit quiet. Two, drop any questions that you have in the Q&A chat. We're going to do our best to answer those here as we follow up after the webinar. If you're having technical issues, refresh your screen, ask for help in the chat. If we can't solve your problem, don't worry, this is being recorded, and we will be sending out a copy of this or a version of this here shortly after the webinar concludes. And lastly, we love interaction with you. So please look for the polls that we have, share your thoughts as we ask them. And then again, we will answer a lot of the questions that come through here towards the end. So let's take a look really quick at our presenters. We have the same ones as last time, so we'll keep this part short. First, we have Dr. Kate Waters-Hart. She's our global limnologist, lake restoration expert, and all-around phosphorus whisperer. Greg Wagner is our sales manager in the US. He's our chemist. He's the guy that knows how to fix your pond. And again, my name is Jordan. I'm leading the efforts here, rolling out the water tech division in the US, and I'm a firm believer that SchlixX can solve all of your problems, at least related to muck. So let's dive in really quick and take a look at the agenda. So Kate is going to spend some time quickly reviewing what muck is, why monitoring is important, and how to tackle some of your issues. Greg is then going to take a focus on the top 4 ways to fix your pond as it relates to muck again, and how SchlixX Plus addresses each of these. We'll look through application processes, cost-saving situations, and treatment plans, again, all related to SchlixX Plus, our product. So with that, we want to be respectful of your time. We're going to try to get through this in about 45 minutes, leaving 15 minutes for questions. I will pass it on over to Kate and let her get started. Kate, all you.
Yeah, thanks, Jordan. So yeah, just to review what muck is from our last webinar. So muck is organic sediment, which consists of recently living organisms, mainly composed of macrophytes, phytoplankton or algae, and microorganisms in various stages of decomposition in the sediment. It can also contain external organic material such as leaf litter and grass clippings as well that has entered the water body from the terrestrial landscape surrounding the water body. It also contains living organisms such as bacteria and fungi as well. And we also talked in the last webinar about how to identify organic matter or muck in your water body. And you can do that through visual, or also texture, but also smell as well. So the picture on the left-hand side of the screen is of a sediment trap in a water body. And you can see at the bottom of this sediment core that the color, very dark brown color, this is organic matter. And above that is inorganic sediment. So this consists of things like sand that's come in from outside of the water body, but also can contain inorganics that have precipitated out of the water column as well. So we've got things like calcium as well, calcium carbonate that's precipitated out of the water body. On the right hand side of the screen, you can also tell the color difference a bit more visually here. So on the top, we've got the darker sediment layer, which is organic, more organic, and then the bottom one, which is lighter in color. This is less organic in nature. And then in the middle of the screen, there's three pictures we have of oxic, suboxic, and anoxic sediment cores. And this is just to show the sort of visual representation of how you can identify this. So anoxic sediment looks very fine and fluid with texture, but also very black and glossy in color. It's very smelly. It smells of hydrogen sulfide, so that egg smell, but also methane as well through the production of, the byproduct of anaerobic digestion of the organic matter. And then oxic sediment is more brown color, so that's indicative of iron oxyhydroxides. And then we have suboxic, which is a mixture of the two. We also went over what issues does muck accumulation cause in your water bodies, and muck accumulation doesn't happen quickly. So it takes years or decades for it to become a problem in water bodies. And this is because nutrients has entered the water body and then can facilitate algal blooms. And we are seeing algal blooms more intensify and more frequent, and this is because population increase and land use change and climate change are meaning more nutrients are entering our water bodies, facilitating these algal blooms and the severity of them. And because of that, we're having more organic material that needs to be broken down after the cells die. And when this happens, the cells go towards the sediment, and then aerobic bacteria that use oxygen to break down these cells use oxygen in this process. And unfortunately, this can lead to large-scale fish kill events because they're using up all the oxygen to break down this excess organic matter. We also see problems with loss of capacity. So over time, we'll see accumulation of organic matter in our water bodies, and we'll lose volume, which is problematic for things like drinking water reservoirs, so source waters, but also for retention to prevent flooding and things like that. So unfortunately, if it's not managed, it can become pretty problematic. With more anoxic events as well, we're seeing an increase in greenhouse gas emissions coming from our lakes, and eutrophic and hypereutrophic water bodies are now producing 5 to 10% of all greenhouse gas emissions relating to methane as a consequence of phosphorus and nitrogen pollution to our water bodies. So water bodies are getting smellier. We're also seeing more turbid water bodies. So organic matter is very fine and fluid and can be easily disturbed at the sediment surface. And this can be done through benthic fish foraging activities, wind and wave activities, but also recreational sports that promote those kind of wind and wave situations. And with higher turbidity, we're losing our biodiversity. So we're losing submerged aquatic plants, which are incredibly important for stabilizing good water quality conditions in our fresh waters. And so, yes, biodiversity in fresh waters has declined as a consequence of nutrient pollution and muck accumulation being one of those problems. In the last webinar, we also touched on the importance of proactive management and why to do it. And regular monitoring of key water quality parameters is really important to give an indication of where your nutrient pollution is coming from. So is it coming from the catchment or the watershed, or coming internally from the lake bed sediments? And monitoring at a minimum seasonally will give a good indication of where it's coming from. And will then hopefully drive what management measures you would need to put in place to try and prevent that from happening. And this then aids the prevention of having to always chase and treat the symptoms of what you're seeing as a problem of nutrient pollution. And here you're actually treating the cause. So you're investing upfront for improving economical benefits in your management. So you're having to reduce labor costs through repeated applications, but also saving time and cost as well. In the last webinar, we also presented this image in the fact that you would need to do multiple things to prevent muck accumulation, but also control it once it's become a problem in your water body. So reducing nutrients coming into the water body and also coming from the sediment, but you'd also need to increase oxygen concentrations to prevent fish kills, and reducing foul odors and phosphorus release coming from the sediment. You may need to potentially do dredging, but this is sort of a last resort if it becomes really problematic. Improving water clarity to promote the appearance of submerged aquatic plants, which helps stabilize lake bed sediments and reduce the potential of phosphorus to be released to the water column, which then can fuel algal blooms. Bioaugmentation, so the potential to add bacteria to help facilitate the breakdown of organic matter. Biomanipulation, so reducing the benthic fish population to try and prevent sediment disturbance into the water column. And also improving the buffering capacity of the water body to prevent large swings in pH, which can facilitate with the algal blooms. So really what you're looking for is an all-in-one solution which can tackle multiple actions at once, really. And this is where we're trying now, it's a good point to introduce SchlixX Plus. So SchlixX Plus is consists of two components. We have component A, which is a mineral formulation and also contains our active ingredient called calcium peroxide, and component B, which contains 8 different strains of bacteria that are naturally found within the environment to facilitate the breakdown of organic matter. So component A helps with oxygenation of the upper sediment layer. It increases the binding capacity of the sediments, retaining phosphorus within the sediments rather than releasing it to the water column to be used by algae. You're reducing organic matter in the sediments. So here we're seeing through the delivery of oxygen, we're activating aerobic bacteria in the sediments to help with breaking that down. And with that, we see a reduction in sediment depth and also an increase in water volume. We're also then combating foul odors by degrading them through the oxygen. And we're also, through component A, reducing phosphorus being released from the organic matter. So we're capturing it before it's being released to the water column. So this is through the formation of hydroxyapatite, through the creation of vivianite, apatite conversion to vivianite, so forming more stable forms of phosphorus retention in the sediments. We're also increasing calcite in the sediment because through organic matter breakdown, you're actually producing sort of acidic compounds. And having calcite in the sediment helps to prevent sort of large scale changes in pH, so you're buffering those impacts. And lastly, component B is the addition of the 8 strains of bacteria, which help with the facilitation of the breakdown of the organic matter. So SchlixX Plus provides 9 different actions, but we also then have boiled it down to what are the key 4 benefits that SchlixX Plus provides. So this is the increase in oxygen concentrations, pH stabilization, particularly in the bed sediments, nutrient control, so trying to control the phosphorus that is released from the organic matter breakdown, preventing it going into the water column to be used by algae to form blooms, and then the bacteria, which helps with the breakdown of organic matter. So for the rest of the presentation, I'll hand it over to Greg to talk more in depth in each one of these 4 key benefits. But before that, I'm going to hand it back over to Jordan now for a poll question. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Kate. Very nice job. All right, so for our first poll question, we are asking which key benefit of SchlixX Plus would have the greatest impact on your water body? Is it the fact that it can reduce organic portions of the sediment, directly improve your oxygen concentrations? Maybe it's related to the nutrients or stabilizing the pH, or is it all of the above? We'll give everybody a second here to go ahead and input your answers, and then we will look to see what the most popular answer was. One more second. All right, let's see what we got. Looks like the polls are in. All of the above. Great. That is good to see, because that is our opinion as well. Great news is that SchlixX Plus can tackle all of these challenges at the same time, and that's really where the magic happens. So Greg's going to take some time now to break down exactly how it all works, and Greg, with that, I will hand it over to you.
Very good. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Kate. Everyone prepare your ears. We're going from proper UK English to a Southeastern Indiana accent. You may very well notice a difference. Okay, so SchlixX Plus, and first key benefit was improve oxygen concentrations. So this is one of the big key factors in using SchlixX Plus. And how does this happen? Well, the active component, calcium peroxide, when it hits the water, dissociates to release oxygen, and that molecular oxygen is released primarily at the sediment layer, and this interface oxygenates that upper sediment layer. So what does that do for us? Well, it allows for the bacteria to be more effective at degrading organic matter. It increases phosphorus binding capacity, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that in another slide. It can help deal with foul odors, because the foul odors typically come from anaerobic environment, and when you release this oxygen, you create an aerobic environment, which is not conducive to those foul odors and the systems that are creating those. And it can also help in preventing fish kills, because obviously you're putting dissolved oxygen into the water. Next slide. All right, so the next key benefit, pH stabilization. So how does that happen? In our formulation, we put some calcium carbonate in there, and that goes again primarily to the sediment layer, and calcium carbonate can help then buffer the sediment layer. Why is that important? It's important because when bacteria begin to degrade organics, their byproduct is mildly acidic. So the more organics they degrade, the more mildly acidic the environment becomes, and the more acidic the environment becomes as to not kill themselves and over acidify themselves, the bacteria will slow down their metabolic processes. So you're not getting the most efficient degradation of organics. So by putting a pH buffer into our formulation, it goes down to that sediment layer. It creates an environment that is more conducive to the bacteria, and they can work more efficiently and do a better job of digesting organics. And again, so by creating this stable pH environment, it's more supportive to aquatic life. You're less likely to see algae blooms, fish kills, or have foul odors. Next slide. Nutrient control. So I said earlier that I would get back to this. How does SchlixX Plus control nutrients in a treated water body? When the calcium peroxide disassociates and gives off the oxygen into the water, you have a divalent calcium ion floating around looking for something to bind with. So through a couple different processes, you get the calcium binding both with the orthophosphate that can be released either from the sediment or from the decomposition of the organic matter. You get a hydroxide ion involved, and you form hydroxyapatite, which becomes non-bioavailable and just part of your sediment layer. And what this does for you is this prevents you from degrading organics, but releasing phosphorus into the water column, where it can then go up and create your next algae bloom, which will ultimately die and then add to the organics at the sediment layer. So you're kind of breaking that cycle. Less orthophosphate in the water column and with the oxygen that's in there can also improve your nitrogen cycling and move you away from ammonias and nitrites into the nitrates. Next slide. Finally, bioaugmentation. So this is the plus. This is what makes SchlixX Plus not just Schlix, but SchlixX Plus. We have a bacterial package. It is an aerobic bacterial package that works very efficiently and very specifically at digesting organics down at the sediment layer. It works in conjunction with any naturally occurring bacteria that you already have. It's just a supplement, a boost, so that you get, again, you have now, you have organics, you have oxygen, you have the ideal pH environment. Now you're supplementing with a bacteria, and you're getting, maximum and most efficient digestion of those organics down in your sediment layer. Problem does this solve? Again, decreases the organic portion of sediment, and which in turn can reduce your sediment depth. Reducing sediment depth can increase water capacity. This package of bacteria can also help you metabolize your tougher structures, your fibrous and cellulose type structures, maybe cattail, leftover cattail litter, things like that that maybe is laying on the bottom. And it also, again, it enhances nitrification, again, improving that nitrogen cycling and moving you away from ammonia and nitrites towards nitrates. Next slide. Okay, so that brings us back to Kate's diagram here. So if you look at the bottom, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blue arrows. So these are all parts of the Kate's diagram of the lake and all these issues that can come. And look, and these blue arrows initially talk about all the things that we address with the SchlixX Plus application, whether it's reducing internal P concentrations, increasing the dissolved oxygen content, improving water clarity through better water quality conditions, bioaugmentation for sludge breakdown, and improving the buffering capacity of the water. Then you also have that white arrow right there, and that is direct algae sludge removal. This is talking about dredging, physically removing product from the water. And this product can be and is currently being used as a biodredge product in scenarios where maybe mechanical dredging isn't an option or is less than ideal. I know I always think of, when I think of that situation, I think of maybe a golf course, and maybe you've got a lake on a golf course that's next to, I don't know, let's say the 14th fairway, bent grass, right there by the lake is where a nice drive ends up, leaves you 140 into a pin, maybe tucked to the left. Bunker's guarding it on the left side, but if you put it, anyway, I digress. If you want to dredge that pond, you're going to have to drag equipment across that pristine fairway, so you're going to affect the outside, the environment around the lake. Additionally, you're going to have to bring in equipment to haul the muck away. It can also affect the body of water itself, and it can make it very turbid. You could release very P-rich. If you start digging around down in there too much, you can release maybe a P-rich sediment layer. So this product is an outstanding way to, like I said, biodredge a body of water like that, and keep that equipment and do it in a way that's far less intrusive to the area around it and to the body of water itself. It can, sometimes it can solve the problem. Sometimes what it can do is allow you to look further ahead in the future, right? So we can utilize this to biodredge and reduce the amount of sediment, in particular organic sediment, in that body of water, and give ourselves 6, 7, maybe 8 years of time to plan for and budget for a dredging. So it is an excellent tool in those situations as well. Next slide. Okay, so I'm going to turn this back over to Jordan now. He's going to do a quick poll, and Jordan, take it away.
Thanks, Greg, and hopefully everybody has a better understanding of specifically how SchlixX Plus works. So, as it relates to your goals for muck reduction, what's the most important? Is it to have a
Jordan, can't hear you, bub.
Hello, hello.
There you go. There, you're back.
All right. Sorry about that. No, thank you, Greg. We appreciate it. And hopefully everybody has a better understanding of how SchlixX and SchlixX Plus work. Right now, we're going to talk and ask your opinion of what your goals are related to muck reduction. What's the most important function in a solution for you? Is it to have a solution that is a low investment, maybe one that is all in one? You can band a couple things together with a treatment. Something that is long lasting, where you only have to apply it one time per year and not frequently over the course of a growing season? Or is it to have a solution that is less impactful to the biodiversity, both internally in the pond and externally? So we will let y'all input your opinions here, and look forward to seeing what y'all are thinking. All right, so a lot of different interests here spread pretty well across. It looks like all-in-one treatment kind of squeaks by as the winner, which is great to see. Good news again, SchlixX Plus does tackle all of these as it relates to muck reduction. While it is a premium product, it is much more cost effective than the next best alternative. It is an all-in-one treatment that lasts a long time, and ideally you only have to apply this one time per year rather than bi-weekly or monthly, and it does all of this without harming or impacting the biodiversity negatively. So that's a win-win, right? Win for the client, win for the lake manager, and win for your water body, which is always great to see. So now I'm going to pass it over to Greg. He's going to take us to the end here with a focus on applications and treatment suggestions. So Greg, back over to you.
Okay, so this is a probably, if not the most frequent question, certainly top 2 frequent questions: how to use it, how to apply it. So I break this up in the water body type. So let's say you have like your 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 acre body of water, maybe a small retention pond in a neighborhood, something small like that. Certainly can be applied dry and just broadcast on the surface. Again, the way that this product is formulated, it's going to sink through the water column pretty quickly and get down to your sediment layer. So if you wanted to just toss it on dry, that is certainly not a way that can be done. Then I start thinking about the next class size of bodies of water, say maybe a ½ acre to maybe up to 2 acres, something along those lines. Again, it can be applied dry, but I think in that size body of water, maybe then you're looking at, say, a boat with a trolling motor, and because of these products are in bags, it's very convenient to just snip a corner out of the bag, and as you troll through the body of water, just put that product right in a prop wash. With a little bit of care, you can get very good coverage doing something like that. You can get very good dispersal by putting it in a prop wash. And then when you start getting into your bigger bodies of water, that's when you're going to want to look to slurry it, because I feel like that's the most effective and efficient way to get larger amounts into a body of water. I have seen things, you can take a drum, put a couple bulkhead fittings on either side of a drum, take some booms out and drop over the side of the boat. Down here in this bottom right, you can see there's actually a manifold. So there are a lot of different ways to slurry it. But I think that, again, when you get into your larger bodies of water, again, for efficiency and effectiveness, you're going to want to slurry this product and put it on in that manner. Next slide. Why should I use Oase Lake Therapy? Well, because it's the best. So because there in the center, we have a happy client. A happy client has a healthy lake, and healthy lakes make for happy clients. So that's what we're all after, right? So on the left, you see, in order to get some of the same effectiveness that you get from SchlixX Plus, you're looking at aeration, probably mechanical. You're looking at a nutrient binder, perhaps a lanthanum modified bentonite or some such technology. Bioaugmentation, now you're talking about, some kind of bacterial package that you're putting in, and finally pH stabilization, probably lime or something like that. When I on the right, to do the same thing, we're looking at an application of SchlixX Plus. When I look at the left, I'm looking at probably one of the biggest drains for a lake management company or someone trying to manage a body of water. I see a lot of time there. I see visits. Visits require people, and people require time. A truck, and trucks burn fuel. I see a lot of inputs on the part of someone trying to manage a lake there on the left. Where on the right, you're talking about a visit to do an application and get all those same benefits on the right side as you do on the left side. Next slide. So treatment plan. There at the top, identify, remedy, prevent. Identify. So any of you that have talked to me, you'll find that typically one of the very first questions I ask when someone says, how can we utilize your products in our body of water? The very first question I will ask, what problem are we trying to solve? So it's very important early on to identify the symptoms, the causes, and then we can start talking about a solution. In the middle there, remedy, immediate actions and recovery steps. A lot of times what you'll end up with in a situation like that, you might have a lake that is completely topped off with algae. Okay, in that scenario, in order to meet the expectations of your client, what we may have to do is look at first dealing with the algae, killing off the algae, whatever, and then going in with one of our products to digest the organics, to provide the oxygen for that, to bind the nutrients and things like that. So, and then finally, prevent, that's when we start talking about, okay, we've got a body of water under control. How do we utilize these products proactively in an economical way to maintain this healthy body of water and this happy client? So at the bottom, initial muck treatment. When I think about that, I think about, people that will come to me and say, hey, we've got a mess. Okay, so what do we do first? High impact muck treatment first. Let's try and really hammer on the problem. Next, you talk about maintain. This is when, after we've kind of gotten things under control, now we start thinking in terms of how do we use this in a maintenance program? Maybe year one, a full dose application, year two, reduced to a maintenance dose type situation, and then years 3 and on, now we've gotten this body of water under control. Now we're looking at these smaller dosages that we can utilize year over year just to maintain those gains and keep the customer happy with what we've got. And finally, these products are excellent for projects. Like I spoke about earlier, an alternative to dredging. This is an excellent product to use as an alternative to mechanical dredging. And then in large lake nutrient management programs, specifically where you're addressing internal loading issues, SchlixX Plus is an excellent product for that as well. Next slide. So a summary, Kate did a great job of reviewing our topics that were covered in our first What the Muck webinar. The symptoms and causes and what needs to be done to control accumulation. We talked about how monitoring is key to understanding. Let's understand what's happening in your body of water, and this monitoring can also be utilized for detecting issues before they arise. We've talked quite a bit about the multiple benefits that SchlixX Plus offers in one treatment, whether it's the oxygen to the sediment, to the stabilizing the pH and the binding of phosphorus that is released, when it's digesting the organics. Finally, we talked some about the cost benefit of SchlixX Plus treatment compared to, various, programs, multiple single items that are applied to a body of lake to get all the same benefits from SchlixX Plus. And we talked a little bit about our treatment plans for a proactive management. So that concludes this part of the seminar. I'm going to turn it back to Jordan, who is going to take over from here for our Q&A.
Terrific. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Kate. Great job per usual. So question and answer time. We have gathered some of the questions again that have come through the chat and also looking at the registration questions. So I will read through as many as we can here over the next 10-15 minutes, and we will have Greg and Kate answer them. So the first one we have coming in from Brian out of the Chicagoland area. He's asking, are nutrients successfully removed when muck is removed? What are the best ways to target muck dredging? Kate, that sounds like a question for you.
Yeah, no problem. So through organic matter breakdown, it will release phosphorus into the water column. So SchlixX Plus will help with preventing that going into the water column, and bind it up and take it out of the system. But with dredging, for example, you can take it out of the water column. You can take it out of the sediment. Obviously, you would be taking out organic matter, but you'll also be taking out inorganic sediments as well. However, through dredging, Greg did explain a little bit about this during the webinar. Dredging can be quite detrimental, although you're taking out that organic matter and that phosphorus source. Dredging can actually expose a new sediment layer rich in phosphorus, so it can actually release that into the water column, which can fuel the next algal bloom event. Dredging can also be detrimental to the aquatic seed bank, and submerged aquatic plants in particular are incredibly important for stabilizing good water quality conditions in lakes and shallow lakes in particular. Dredging can also be quite detrimental to the terrestrial landscape surrounding it. So through the compaction of the sediments, it can sort of form channels and help the delivery of nutrients and sediments enter the water body again through heavy rainfall events. It can also just be very detrimental to the aquatic environment. You're causing a lot of turbidity when you're dredging. And the other part, I think, was bacteria and oxygen. So if you're adding bacteria, oxygen is important because the bacteria will use up the oxygen concentrations that are already present in the water body. And if there's a lot of organic matter that needs to be decomposed by the bacteria, it will deplete it. So oxygenation is very important. However, what I will say with that is that it won't reduce the phosphorus that is being released through that organic matter degradation. So you will still have the phosphorus going into the water column. The bacteria will obviously consume some of it and travel it through the food chain, but I think it's probably not very much at all. It's probably less than 20% or something like that. So you'll still have a significant amount of phosphorus entering the water column.
Right. Thanks, Kate. Next question from John in New Jersey. How do you say the name of your company and what does it mean? Greg, do you want to tackle that one?
Is that me?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, it is Oase, and Oase is German for oasis. So that is the proper pronunciation and the meaning behind it.
I know we get asked that one a lot, so thank you. Next one we have here is Rick. Rick is from the UK, and he is asking, how often should a treatment be used? Greg, you want to tackle that one? I know we talked a little bit about it in the presentation.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem, and thank you for the question. Yeah, the product is designed to be an annual treatment, so we typically look at putting this in early in the season. We do want some water temperatures above 55 degrees F, and I apologize, I don't know what that is in degrees C. But like I said, it's designed to be done early in the season. We want to give the bacteria the maximum amount of time to work and digest organics throughout the growing season. There are certainly scenarios where maybe it could be applied twice a year. And what I'm thinking of there is, had someone come to me at one point in time, said, I have a 6-foot deep pond. There's 2 feet of water and 4 feet of muck. Okay, well, maybe in that situation, that's twice, because it is such a mess that it is going to take some substantial work to clean up. But in your typical body of water, we're looking at an annual treatment, again, typically early in the season.
Perfect. Perfect. Thanks. All right. Next question we have is, let's see, from Blake, and Blake's in Tennessee. Blake is asking, how environmentally safe is SchlixX? Kate, do you want to handle that one?
Yeah, sure. So SchlixX Plus has been applied to quite a few different types of water bodies, and it has been applied to nature reserves and special areas of conservation in Europe. So that comes under the European Habitats Directive. So they're sort of designated for their flora and fauna, so sort of rare species or species that need conservation, and so they're quite detrimental to like fluctuations with anything that happens with them, and there's rules and regulations and what can be done. And so SchlixX Plus has been applied in these situations, and there's been independent bodies that have done monitoring before and after the SchlixX Plus treatments. So they've monitored various aquatic groups such as aquatic plants, macroinvertebrates, phytoplankton, fish as well, and there's been no sort of detrimental significant impacts to those aquatic communities, and there's been testimonials and things like that as a response to these treatments too. So no negative impacts from the treatments.
Terrific. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, we have a question from Tom. Tom is from Indiana. He's asking, how does your product compare to other products that are on the market today? Greg, that sounds like a question for you.
All right, thanks, and thank you again for the question. Well, as I talked about a little bit in the one slide, in order to get all the benefits that you're going to get from a SchlixX Plus, you're going to have to look at, you know, multiple other things. Again, aeration, nutrient remediation, bioaugmentation, pH buffering. So I dare say right now, as it stands, there's not another product on the market that compares directly to SchlixX Plus, because we get all of those benefits in one application from SchlixX Plus. Again, I think it's a very efficient product. It's going to prove to be very effective for everyone.
Terrific. Thanks. Chrissy has a question, also from Indiana. Curious to know, is aeration necessary to see the benefits of SchlixX Plus, or is that something that's separate? Greg, you want to take that one?
Yeah, no problem. No, it's not necessary to see the benefits of SchlixX Plus. Again, because of the formulation, it's going to disassociate and put and oxygenate the sediment layer. Now, what I will say is aeration is never ever a bad thing for a body of water, and it certainly doesn't hurt anything. It just enhances. So yeah, they can be used together.
Perfect. All right, we have Gary from the UK, and he's curious to know what the best way of measuring silt buildup in a lake is. Kate, I know you talked a little bit about this on your slide with the monitoring aspect of things, but do you want to just give that a quick answer?
Yeah, sure. So silt buildup, it would depend really on, so there's lots of ways you can measure it, but it will really depend on your sort of specific questions really, and accuracy in how you monitor it. Sort of sedimentation traps are quite good, so you're putting them in your water body. If you wanted to find out how much silt is entering from the catchment into your water body every year, you can identify it that way. You could also put it in the water body to understand how much is sort of precipitated out of the water column. Sediment cores are really effective to understand how much organic matter and siltation you have. There's lots of various ways really. So another one will be like sonar, bathymetric surveys, looking at sludge accumulation, organic matter accumulation. You could do like a weighted device on a rope that takes it down to the surface of the water. So you're understanding the water depth, and then putting like a a probe or a measuring pole in to understand then how much of that is soft sediment if you're pushing it in, and then you can understand what depth is and how that depth changes over time. So there's various different options, and I think it really depends on sort of cost and how often you would be doing it. But there is also an analytical method that you can use if you're taking sediment samples. You can do an analysis called loss on ignition, where you're understanding how much of your sediment is organic, and it's a very small portion usually, but with, like what I mentioned in the talk, in the webinar, sorry, with population increase, land use change, climate change, these organic matter portions of our sediments is increasing. So that's one way to get a true definition of how much organic matter you have in your water body.
Great. Thanks. All right, we have a quick one from Sean in Florida. You're talking a lot about 50-pound bags of product. Are there other options for package size? We have small koi ponds that we manage. Greg, do you want to talk about that?
Yes, moving into the season, we're also going to offer this with those types of applications in mind in a 10-pound package. So instead of 50 pounds and 5 pounds of bacteria, it's a 10 pounds with 1 pound of bacteria. And again, the whole idea was we knew that in the water garden, maybe koi ponds, there were smaller bodies of water that could benefit from that smaller package size.
Great, thanks. And I know in Europe we have 10 kg buckets as well, so smaller for smaller applications there as well. All right, how about Brian from the US? He's asking about how does water depth affect the product? Some of the ponds that I manage need to be mucked out. They're at least 8 feet deep, or at most 8 feet deep. So how does water depth affect our product, Greg?
It really doesn't, because of the formulation of SchlixX. It does an exceptional job of falling through the water column and getting down to your muck layer where it can do its work. So water depth does not affect it very much at all. Get just a little bit, if you had a 40-foot deep body of water, you might lose a little bit on the way down because there's just so much water column to fall through. But on these types of bodies of water, the water depth has no real effect at all. It gets right down to the sediment layer and starts going to work on those organics.
Great. We're getting a lot of questions in the chat here, so we don't have a ton of time left to answer them. We will be sending out responses here either via email or text to you all, so don't worry, we'll get to you. We are specifically getting a lot of questions about distribution and purchasing and where do I find the product and so on. And so what I would encourage you all to do, if the lake management company or the distribution partner that you have, is not carrying our product quite yet, just let us know and we'd be happy to work with them. We are focused on selling through distribution partners, so we don't anticipate selling direct. So we will help support you all and find partners in your area if you are not seeing them yourself. So please reach out to Greg, Kate, or myself. We have some other folks like Paul in Europe that you can reach out to, and throughout the rest of the world as well. And we'll find you some good partners to work through. With that, I know we have about 10 minutes left. I want to be cognizant of time here. So just quickly, again, the questions that we have coming through will be answered in as fast amount of time as we possibly can get them to them. But I do want to just take a quick second before we wrap up this conversation, to just take a look at the bottom of the page. You'll see that SchlixX Plus is in fact not our only product line. In fact, our lake therapy division has 3 additional product lines, and then when you venture into different parts of the world, we in fact have even more. So we will continue to push out webinars like this, educational focused, specifically around the other product lines that we do have. So you can see CDOX here, which is meant for nutrient balancing, phosphorus removal, has some similar components to SchlixX Plus as it relates to not only impacting phosphorus, but other components like carbon and nitrogen within your water body. Extremely efficient product that we'll talk more about. OptiLake is another really fun, cool product that's different. It is pretty much buffering your pH at 8.2, keeping those ideal conditions throughout the water season, and we know that that provides a ton of value to a lot of our partners that we've used it on. And then 8-pound blocks, you can see here on the right side of the screen, is a time-released bacteria. You know, it is kind of like taking your probiotics every day if that's something you participate in, but it's good beneficial bacteria that you use over the course consistently over time. It is different than the bacteria we use in SchlixX Plus, you know, again, for different goals. But we'll talk about all of these in presentations up and coming. If you have questions about those specifically, again, we can address them individually through conversations. We are actively pursuing opportunities and working with clients on these product lines as well. But SchlixX Plus, I mean, it's Schlick season for us. So early on in the season, we want to focus on getting this product in the water to get full value out of it. With that, we will conclude the webinar. We'll wrap up here. Just a couple final reminders. Watch for an email for the recording. I know there was a lot of folks that while they registered, they couldn't attend. So we will be sending out a recording of this here shortly. We had more questions than we had time to answer. So we will be responding to those here as we go, both in the US and internationally. I'd also encourage you all to visit our website that you see on the screen here, which is different in Europe and in the US. You can kind of see those as well. And then help us improve, right? The reason we did this webinar so quickly and specifically on SchlixX Plus, it's because we had a lot of people fill out our feedback asking questions about it. So we do value your feedback. Give us your opinion. We will be sending that out a couple of times here over the next couple of weeks. And lastly, hopefully not the only reason you join, but t-shirts. We will be selecting those winners here over the next couple of days, just randomly, and then sending those out. We'll reach out to you individually if we have questions about shipping and that kind of stuff, but we will be sending those out to the winners as well. So with that, I just want to thank you all for your time today. I know it was a fun time for us, and hopefully you all found some value in it. So with that, we'll see you next time. We have the same muck with new solutions. Talk to you all soon.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, bye.